Okay boys, it's that time of year again to talk about controller or keyboard and mouse. We're going to start it off talking about 360-degree movement on controller. This is a dying advantage for controller. As time goes on, you guys are going to value 360-degree movement less and less. As of now, there are 3 or 4 keyboard brands that are making and have made keyboards with 360-degree movement in them. This allows us to have that joystick movement that controller players have, and that is a very big advantage that controller players have over keyboard players, especially in Season 6, considering the skill ceiling is so high for competitive players to, I guess, even compete. And again, the makes that I know that are making keyboards like this are the makes of Razer, SteelSeries, and probably the most popular one is the Wu-Ting keyboards, which were the first people to do it, and they've been doing it since the CSGO days. So, it's not like it's a new thing, it's just becoming more popular because of Fortnite has such a high skill ceiling, and players are going to other games after playing Fortnite for years and getting that whole, I guess, just Fortnite has that different kind of competitive mentality than other games. So when people transition to other games, they're bringing that mentality with them, and it's actually bringing the whole skill ceiling in games higher as a whole, just because of people's Fortnite, I guess, past. But another thing controller players have, and we're going to talk about it real quickly because I know it's a very controversial topic, which is aim assist. Unfortunately, aim assist was nerfed in Season 3 of Chapter 2 for controller players, so it's not as overpowered as it used to be. And obviously before that you had L2 spam, so L2 spam is gone now, Legacy is gone now. All you have is your linear and your exponential. Exponential does give you better aim assist, but linear gives you more consistency. So I have a video on that, I'll pull it up in the top right or something right now, talking about the best settings for controller and stuff like that. It was only made a few weeks ago, so it's still relevant. And you guys have no arm fatigue. You have finger fatigue, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Arm fatigue is when you are using your mouse from your shoulder, and I guess from your shoulder down to your wrist. We have to use our arm a lot as keyboard players, especially if you're a low sensitivity player like me. So when you're playing a tournament for 3 hours, more than likely at the start of the tournament, you're going to be playing better than you are at the end of the tournament. And that is the same for controller players, but usually it's mentally for controller players. Obviously it's mentally for keyboard players too, they're just drained mentally. But we have mouse fatigue, we have arm fatigue, we have finger fatigue, we get wrist cramps, man, it's painful. But I'll go talking about wrist cramps and stuff like that later on, but you guys have no arm fatigue. Actually, speaking of less cramps, I'm going to talk about that right now because I have it on my list. I wasn't looking at my list, so now I am. Less cramps. You guys don't have those cramps I was talking about in your wrist. Your wrists don't go off aching after playing Fortnite for 6-7 hours a day practicing. You guys don't get carpal tunnel. When have you heard a controller player get carpal tunnel in their fingers? A lot of OG, PC gamers from the 80s and 90s, man, they have carpal tunnel to death. They have arthritis. Their fingers are gone. So, you guys don't have to risk that. So it's a lot less draining, I guess, to play. And you have, what I'm going to talk about right now is it's actually easier in life to play controller. Because of keyboard and mouse, it's on a desk and you have to lean forward to play it. Now, there is the Daquan, I believe, strategy where he sits back and puts it on his lap, his keyboard on his lap, but that isn't good either because his arms are just all out of alignment. He's sitting crooked. It's bad for posture. With controller players, man, you can just flake out on a couch playing Fortnite tournaments. Not gonna lie, I've seen people do it, man. I used to do it, and it's way more comfortable. It's way more relaxing, to be honest. And I would prefer to do that, but gotta roll with my keyboard gang now, man. I'm PC, and automatically going PC, I was like, I need to go keyboard and mouse, and I love it every second of it, man. It's really, really good. But continuing on, you guys have easier side jumps, okay? You have way easier side jumps from that 360-degree movement we talked about earlier. Keyboard players don't really have that. They really don't. It's actually the hardest thing I taught when I got onto keyboard and mouse was learning how to side jump. So there is that. And you guys do have a disadvantage with there being a less range of motion. That means you have a thumb to aim. We have our whole desk. That's simply how to put it. Obviously you have aim assist, but range of motion gives you accuracy. That's why people play slow sensitivity, because they can use more of their desk. If they can use more of their desk, they can be more accurate. It's just basically low sensitivity makes you more accurate. High sensitivity makes you less accurate. But on, like, I remember swapping back to controller to just try it out for a few days. What is a low sensitivity for you is actually super high. It's very sensitive, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, I was playing on like 20 sensitivity and it was so sensitive compared to mouse. And that's just something I never noticed. But I guess moving on, you guys have a less chance to misclick. These are things people aren't thinking about. Sure, we have the advantage of having way more customizable buttons, but when you have 20, 30, 40 buttons to choose from, you're bound to misclick. You have much more things to learn, especially on that keyboard. And, you know, taking your finger off movement off your D button, let's say, to E or F, if that's your edit point, which is what most people do use, you have a chance of, you know, not landing on D as quickly as possible, or misclicking and hitting C. If you're a new player, they will do that. Or misclicking and putting it on F. You know, there's different things that people mess up on when they start out on keyboard and mouse. They're things that I've messed up on when I started. So, you know, you need to know how to avoid that. And on a controller, you don't really have that because your hands are in such a, I guess, comfortable position around the controller. They're in a natural position that it's just easy not to misclick. And you guys have another disadvantage, which is kind of an L for you guys, but you guys have a lot more input delay than keyboard players, because most people unfortunately do play on, I guess, a PS5 controller, Xbox One controller, PS4's controllers. I don't know what the new Xbox controller's called, man, but whatever. You guys play on them controllers, which aren't developed for input delay. They really aren't. They're just developed for comfort, grip, and anything wireless. If you're playing your controller wireless, you're playing with a lot more input delay. So do plug it in and play with it on charges at all times, because it's going to be much more beneficial for your input delay. And there are companies like Nacon, which is the official PS4 Pro controller. Them controllers do have better input delay, and I would recommend using them if you can afford one. And they're probably the most durable Pro controller for I guess anything, for PlayStation or PC. I haven't got the chance to try every one of them, but I've used the most majority. I don't know what I'm saying, man. I've used a lot of Pro controllers, is what I'm saying. From Scuff being the worst, and I'm being dead serious. They break after 6 months. It's not a rant video, so I'm going to keep moving on, because I got to help my keyboard and mouse players out. I left them till the end, and I kind of feel bad because I'm a keyboard and mouse player myself. But keyboard and mouse instantly has an advantage when it becomes editing. We can edit so much faster than controller players because we can, like, afford to use confirm edit on release, and that is a very big W for us. We have less input delay on keyboard, we have less input delay on PC, and we've got even lesser input delay when we have a high frame rate. So it's easy for us to use confirm edit on release. And actually, PC players have less ping. Just by playing on PC, you'll have less ping. So it's because you don't have a lot of processes that you can't control, like a PlayStation does. Has a load of shit running in the background that you really cannot control. Like, for instance, the PlayStation Store is always running. You've got PlayStation TV, you've got updates you can't see. They're all running in the background, and it's not really worth you trying to improve your input delay on PlayStation, because there's not much you can do, or improve ping on PlayStation. On PC, on the other hand, it's open source, so it means you can control absolutely everything to a certain degree. That certain degree being how much you know about what you're using and what you're doing. But it's easier for us to edit, like I said, and it's easier for us to tunnel. It's easier for us to tunnel because, again, of that range of motion on the mouse. We can flick left, right, up, down. It's very easy for us to tunnel. And obviously it's easier for us to tunnel because of the way we can set up our build binds. It's way more beneficial. It's also easier for us to aim because, again, the range of motion. But it's only easier for us to aim if we practice. The average keyboard and mouse player that plays maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 hour sessions 5 days a week, he is not going to be an insane aimer. An average controller player will beat him on aim. I can guarantee you that, because it requires a lot of practice to get average aim, and then from that, even better aim. Right now, I would say my aim is above average, but it has been up in that top tier level multiple times, and that's what I'm working on trying to get back. So that's just a little insight to my little goals I'm running on the side. Obviously, we have more button options. Like I said, it's an advantage. It's like a double-edged sword. It's an advantage, but a disadvantage. We have a bigger button selection, which means we can, I guess, play and bind things how we would like to bind them, but at the cost of it taking a lot longer to learn, and at the cost of us misclicking a lot more than controller players. It's way easier to swap weapons on keyboard and mouse, which is something people don't really look into a lot. The fact we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever other binds you would use, they're my personal binds and I prefer them over any other binds I've tried. It seems the nicest to reach. I think that might just be because I guess maybe COD and stuff I used to use 1, 2, 3, so it wasn't that hard for me to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5. I actually did use 4 and 5 in COD now that I think about it. I used it for my lethal and grenade. I don't know why I'm just thinking about that now, but moving on. We have that overpowered advantage of having our weapon slots set up like that. And then we have better accuracy at long range. This is going to be a sad one for all those controller players. Your aim assist, no matter what platform you're on, dies but at 50 or 75 meters. 50 meters for linear players is where it starts to die out, and then on exponential it starts to die out at 75 meters. Now this is obviously aim down sight aim assist. Hip fire aim assist is long gone at that stage. So when we train on keyboard and mouse, and when we aim train, we can get that long range aim down. So that's when you're getting beamed, man, that's not a controller player. That is us on mouse and keyboard beaming the shit out of you. Just a little heads up, I guess. And then obviously the worst advantage of keyboard and mouse is leading to bad posture, which is something I'm suffering right now that I'm trying to figure out, man. I've moved my monitors closer, further, up, down, left, right, chairs up, down, left, right, desks up and down, man. It's chaos trying to get nice and comfortable. And then obviously my gaming chair, I've moved my arms, like my armrests up and down. It's just not a fun place to be. But you boys are probably waiting for the conclusion. And what I'm saying is, they both have good benefits and they both have, I guess, bad negatives to them. So it's down to what you want at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what input you play. There are some of the best players in the world that play controller. There's some of the best players in the world that play keyboard and mouse. If you want my personal opinion, I will think that keyboard and mouse is better. I've played keyboard and mouse for 6 months, and I got better at Fortnite by probably double or triple than I was before. That is because I know a lot about what I'm doing. I didn't just go like, alright, I want to play keyboard and mouse because it's better apparently. This is my opinion now, what I'm saying, by the way. It's if you think controller is better off for you, man. I've listed out all of the information you need to make that decision. I'm not going to tell you which one's better. I gave you information, both good and bad, for each side. So it's up to you to make that decision right now and in the coming days, weeks, hours, whatever it may be. And I just want to tell you, man, I'm a keyboard and mouse player for the rest of my life. I played controller probably for about 8 years in my life. And now I'm happy playing on keyboard and mouse. In the last 6 months, I've gotten better than I've ever played before. That could be to do with mindset, or it could be to do with keyboard and mouse. I'm not really sure. I just know that keyboard and mouse definitely helped. That's all I have to say, boys. All I ask you to do, man, I haven't said it once in this whole video, is just hit that sub button, man. All I want to do is give you more and more information every day, every hour I can when I'm streaming. Information is my, like, I'm your guy. If you need info on Fortnite, I'm your guy. Leave it in the comments, whatever question it is. If you want a whole video on it, I have you covered. It might not be next week that I make the video, but it would be the following week. I'm a busy man. I do this for everybody. I'm literally an online coach. Don't charge shit. Just give out as much information as I can. All I'm asking for you to do is hit that like button and subscribe so you can see more of these type of videos. I'm out of here, man. Have a good one.